Good evening, everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight with some very exciting information about the John C. Dunham STEM Partnership School, the partnership that is between a large number of people. It's between the school districts of East Aurora, West Aurora, Indian Prairie, Aurora University, and then great partnerships with many businesses in the community. And you will be hearing some of those details later on today. We want to make sure that you're comfortable. If you did not notice as you came in, the restrooms are to the back, so please, if you need to use them, feel free to do that at any point in time in the presentation. And hopefully everyone picked up both information that contains the application as well as this evening's PowerPoint. All of this information can be found also on our website, and tonight's program is, as you can see, being filmed and will also be up on our website, hopefully no later than by the first thing in the morning. So if there's something you want to go back and take another listen to, it will be available for you to do that. So my name is Kathy Duncan. I am the Chief Academic Officer here at Indian Prairie School District. I have had the great privilege in the last year and a half to be working closely with Aurora University and everyone in putting this plan from a dream into a reality. And with that, I'm very proud to introduce to you the new director of the STEM Partnership School, Allison Sherman. Allison most recently was working here in Indian Prairie as a director of our core curriculum. So it's nice to have her here, and it is certainly a pleasure for me to introduce her to you.
Well, thank you so much, and to Kathy as well as the staff here at Indian Prairie. Much appreciated that you're hosting us this evening and coordinating the effort to have all of you here. And thanks to you all for being here and expressing an interest in the school. It's an exciting time. This is our first opportunity to speak publicly to such a wide audience about the school since our districts and Aurora University finalized their agreements in the last month and a half. So we are thrilled to finally share with you the details and share with you how this is innovative and first of its kind. That really is the purpose of this evening. Give you the details that you need to be more informed on whether or not enrolling your child is the next step that you want to take. So I'm going to share with you tonight information about the creation and concept of the school, how it all came to be over the last several years, hard work by a variety of different people and partners. Features, unique features of the school that make it one of a kind, as well as the curriculum design, what the course of study looks like. That really is the essence of what makes this different, different than what your child may be experiencing in their home district. So I have a few other people here with me as well that will play a role in explaining that. And then we'll talk about the student selection process and the steps that you would need to take should you decide that enrolling is the way that you want to go. And then finally, I'll talk about some particulars of daily operation. I know there are a lot of questions out there. What about bus transportation and the calendar? What does the calendar look like? And so I will hit some of those details as well. The intention here is to make sure that we have the details for you in this presentation over the next hour. But if we don't get to your question, with your PowerPoint presentation, there's a page that will allow you to write down your question and also give your contact information. So after the presentation, we will take a few minutes to do a Q&A, and we'll ask that you pass those questions forward, and a panel of us will be available to answer them. If we don't get to your question, you'll leave your contact information, your question with us, and somebody will get back to you in the next couple days to answer that question for you. I'd also ask that if the question is in particular to your child, that you reach out to me personally and you give me a call or contact me over email. Sometimes the discussion about the particulars in relation to your child are certainly best over the phone than in a public setting, but I will happily talk those through with you. And I'm not going to waste any more time and get to introducing other people that are here with me, other partners involved. I'll start over here with Mr. Steve Solomon, who's here from Exelon Corporation. And then we have Dr. Sharon Miller here from Aurora University. She's on faculty there. We have Miss Chris Crouch here from Aurora University. She is the Assistant Director of the Institute of Collaboration, and Miss Angela Whitfield, who is also here from Nicor Gas. And they will all be sharing with you what their role has been in the partnership school. So a little bit about me. I can tell you that my desire to be a teacher and to go into the field of education started at a young age. I'm the daughter of an art teacher, an elementary art teacher. So it's years and years of watching my mother develop lesson plans, and if you know somebody in the field, then you know they're spending their Sunday nights and their late evenings designing lessons for the following day. And certainly saw my mother's enthusiasm and had the opportunity to visit her classroom and work with her students through high school. So it was really no-brainer that I wanted to be a teacher myself. And so I pursued a degree, a bachelor's degree in elementary education at the University of Michigan with a concentration in science and language arts. Afterwards, I started my teaching career out here in the Chicago suburbs. I was a middle school math and science teacher, and in my summers off, I was also a math teacher for gifted students at Northwestern University at their Center for Talent Development. It was through my experiences teaching that I had the opportunity to write curriculum and to design innovative lessons, and it was such a thrill. It's something that I wanted to do as my next step in my career. So I pursued a master's degree with a concentration in curriculum and leadership and education policy out at Stanford University in California. And then thereafter, I started my administrative career as a director of curriculum down in Southern California, central office, focused on curriculum instruction and assessment. And then I came back about 5 years ago, and that's where I landed here at Indian Prairie, where I was a director of curriculum. So about 9 years as district office administrator. And it's at Indian Prairie where I became involved with this initiative. Back in I think it was 2009, 2010, and it was really thrilling. I was the representative from the district, part of the design team. So although I've been on the job here as the director of the STEM school for the last almost 4 weeks, I have been involved for quite a few years. So I am certainly grounded in what this is all about and the details of it. So I wanted to take the next few slides just to share with you how where we got started and what was the need that we were trying to fill as a community. It started in about 2007, 2009, in that time frame at Aurora University at the Institute of Collaboration. And if you're not familiar with the Institute, it's an organization that brings together leaders and resources across a variety of different sectors: business, education, human services, health, that are charged with addressing challenges and issues in the community through their partnership. And it was about that time, in that time frame, that as a nation, we were looking at the quality and the rigor in academic standards or learning outcomes for students. What we were seeing is that national scores of our students were flatlining. We weren't gaining in subject areas, especially math and science. And we were also looking at international studies, which showed our students falling further behind their international counterparts in the areas of math and science. We were looking at statistics that showed students, upon graduating grade 12, were not seeking out careers in the STEM fields, in science, technology, engineering, or math, and low percentage of students that were interested at all. And naturally, not a surprise that the business sector was saying, here we have, this is where the jobs are, and we aren't able to fill the vacancies that we have. So the community, all the partners that were involved said, there's our need. We have to address STEM programming from elementary through higher ed. Everybody is involved. And so they wrote for a competitive grant from the Dunham Fund. And if you're not familiar with John C. Dunham, he was a very successful businessman and entrepreneur in the Aurora area. He was actually a West Aurora District high school graduate. And his belief strongly was that we all have the responsibility to be agents of positive change in our community. and he was looking to fund initiatives that would bring about the changes that we need. So the Institute, and under the leadership of Dr. Sherry Eagle, as well as 13 other business partners and across a variety of different sectors, wrote for this grant, and they received that prestigious award. And that's really where it all began. And shortly thereafter, the STEM school was conceived as the best way to reach educational programming for STEM for children. And this is the vision. It remains the same today as it was years ago. In fact, the statistics, unfortunately, that I've said earlier are the same now. So we still have this great need. It's to prepare the community's talented young leaders, learners in mathematics and science in ways that will ignite, sustain, and increase their interest, motivation, and achievement. And the next line is particularly important. This school will employ the community as its lab. That is what makes this school different. This is a community that designed this school. 3 school districts, over 25 corporate and nonprofit business partners, and a university came together in the best example of a community taking responsibility for educating their children. So this has not been, this type of school did not exist in the public school system. So in order for this to happen, a new legislation needed to be written. So the community came together, involved, and they worked with legislators to design Senate Bill 621. And legislators took it forward from this region, and it passed with bipartisan support. So it allowed for one school to service 3 school districts, and for those students to come to the school but remain still in the public system and a part of their home district. And if you know politics in this state, it was no small feat to have that pass through. So it really is, it shows the support that all of our legislators across parties have for this initiative and for our children. The governor caught the governor's eye, and in July of last year, he allocated $3.5 million to this school. And so once we had that last bit of money, it was all on. We were in full swing preparing for the opening of the school, which will happen this August. We are excited about that. It is located on the campus of Aurora University. If you pass there, it's starting to look like a school. Every week is different. We were building it from the ground up. I walk through it almost every week, and it's amazing how it transitions just in a few days. So they are working round the clock to make sure that we are prepared for the opening, which we are on time for that. It's going to serve 150 students in grades 3 through 8 from Indian Prairie, as Kathy had mentioned, Aurora West and Aurora East. If you break that down, that's approximately, that is 50 students per district. And that was important that in our agreement, we had equal numbers coming from all 3 districts. If you break that down even further, it's about a class size that was 25 at each grade level. And even further, that's about 8 to 9 students per grade level from each district. Okay, and you might be thinking, wow, that's not a lot of spots available, 150 students for this school. I want to remind you about the partnership, and that's what this is really about. You're going to be hearing tonight how Aurora University's partnership and their role in this is to train teachers that come from all 3 districts, train teachers in STEM. They will come to the school on a 2 or a 4-year appointment, and then they will return back to their school district so as to be a leader there in STEM and build the capacity across a district. That doesn't happen in other places. That was, again, another unique asset to this partnership. In addition, our corporate sector, you'll be hearing about, is working, a corporate nonprofit companies are working with teachers and university faculty to write a STEM curriculum. By nature of the partnership, all 3 school districts have access to that STEM curriculum. And I know they're building systems now to incorporate aspects of the curriculum so that 55,000 students across all 3 districts will will benefit from this one school, and 5,000 teachers across all 3 districts will benefit. So who are we trying to recruit here, and what do we believe is the characteristics of the children that we feel will be most successful in this type of learning environment? Well, they exhibit a passion, a talent in science and mathematics. That's their sport. They eat it up. That's the area where they want to know more and more about. They either have a talent or an interest, or at minimum are proficient in those subject areas. They thrive on environments where they're challenged to critically think and problem solve. So they're asked a series of questions, and they like the ability to work through those over time and try solving these problems with creative, new, and innovative ways of doing that versus racing to get the right answer. So they like the open-ended questions. They like to work with teams, their peers, to solve problems. There are labs. There'll be a core lab every day for students to experience. So they also like to work hands-on environments. They like to learn by doing as well. And with that, they are enthusiastic about using technology and on a daily basis. The majority of the curriculum for this school is digital, and each student at the school will be provided with a handheld device that will be used to interact with the teacher, who as well will have a device in the classroom. So there's always a learning curve for all of us with technology, but they are enthusiastic about where that can take us all as we learn. Just give you a little bit about the curriculum design, and then I have others that are going to go a little bit more in depth, but I'm sure you're interested in wanting to know about the course of study. The basic day is broken down into a core lab that's math and science emphasized, integrated, and an integrated approach. And it's based on those 6 topics areas that you see listed: matter and energy, forces in motion, all the way through weather, climate, and human impact. Those 6 topic areas were pulled from the Next Generation Science Standards, or framework, which was just released by researchers and scientists across this country. They're more rigorous standards in the area of science. So that's the foundation. And what makes this different than from a science curriculum and makes it more about a STEM curriculum is that it's embedded with engineering and manufacturing supply chain principles. So the core of the day is focused on math and science embedded with these principles. And those principles were taken from workforce and corporate frameworks, as well as the Illinois pathways. And if you're not familiar with Illinois pathways, that's actually a council at the state level with business partners, government, education, higher education faculty, researchers who have studied and looked and defined what are the skills and concepts students need to be successful in the 21st century. So they've defined some courses of study, and those have also been integrated into this curriculum. So at any given day and throughout the year, your child is going to be hitting all 6 of those topics. And subsequent years, from grades 3 through 8, students will experience those topics, with the difference being the rigor in the concepts and skills taught. So it becomes more rigorous as they go through the grade levels, but teachers are making connections in those topic areas between what they've learned in a previous year. That graphic there represents a particular lab. So if they're focused on matter and energy, it's to show that all the other subject areas are taught. So there is language arts, there is PE, mathematics, music, but they're taught more integrated or connected to that lab. Not every single skill and concept can be connected, so there may be other places during the day where teachers will hit outcomes from the other subject areas. But this is a public school, so we are required to and will meet all of the standards for the state or learning outcomes that are expected of our students. And now I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Miller.
All right, so welcome, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some information about the curriculum. Just a bit about myself and how I got into this role so that you can put my experiences in context to what you've been hearing. I was trained at Purdue University as a materials science engineer, so that was my undergraduate training, and then from there I went to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and I received Master's in Science and a PhD in Biomedical Engineering. And at Aurora University, one of the reasons I took the position that I hold right now in the Physical Science Department is because of this school. And it embodies a lot of what I did as a practicing engineer and what I learned on both in school and on the job in the training that I've received. So that's just a bit about me. And there's not just engineers on this curriculum design team. There are many different faces that we have. So I'm here to answer a couple different questions of who is the design team, who's on the curriculum design team, and what does it look like, and where will it be implemented, right? So the slide you see right now is the long list of corporate not-for-profit partners that we've had at the table week by week, month by month, right, guiding us in all of this curriculum development, giving us the input that we need, not as just scientists and engineers, but the business perspective and all of the logistics in the supply chain process that one probably doesn't think about when you think about how things are manufactured. So that guidance from our partners has been extremely instrumental in this curriculum design process. Alongside the partners are some of us from the university faculty at Aurora University, and also the school districts. Many of our teachers, your teachers, right, some of the 5,000 that Allison was speaking of earlier, right, have been also at the table week by week and month by month, integrating their knowledge as to what happens in the classroom in addition to the perspectives that we give from academia, in addition to the partners as to how the real world often works, right? So it's this nice mesh of what's going on in real life, how can we actually bring this to the classroom earlier and get these kids that are so excited about these STEM disciplines already even more engaged and better at what they do. So what does the curriculum look like? This slide, I know it's very, very small font. We don't expect you to read it, right? However, it's a good overview of how the curriculum, we can give you a perspective of how the curriculum has meshed together, right? Allison showed the slide with all the gears on it, and we have taken all of those different disciplines into account when we are designing this curriculum. But this curriculum in particular addresses, using Understanding by Design curriculum design work, addresses a lot of the big questions that we participate in as people, scientists in society, as academicians, as people in corporate and not-for-profit situations every day in our lives. So the 6 topics that Allison has already introduced, in each of those topics, there are lesson plans and curriculum that have been designed so that we introduce big questions to the students early on. And so that we repeat those big questions and the students see them over and over so that they understand it's not just something I'm going to ask you in 3rd grade, and then when I get to 4th grade, it's a different set of questions. It's similar questions, they'll have a similar flow to them, but then as Allison also said, they get more complex with time, right? The more that you learn mathematically, the more complex you might be able to design a solution or engineer a design for a problem that you're introduced to. So you can't see, I know you can't read everything, but on the left it does introduce essential questions. And then the next 2 columns introduce how it's connected to our partners and how it's connected to the real world. So that does so by connecting the question to the partner. So that's either a not-for-profit or a for-profit company, right? So you can see on this slide, NICOR, Waste Management, Exelon, and Fermilab are some of the partners that we listed that would be connected to. So your child might have the opportunity to interact with that company during the investigation of that big question. And also linked to the supply chain process. So this is getting into all of the different aspects of how things are made, right? Not just the assembly line sort of mentality that perhaps we have, Industrial Revolution style thought about when you're actually making a car or making a microphone or making a computer, but necessarily what's the design process that goes into making that widget? Where did those items come from. We have to mine them out of the earth with big diggers that Caterpillar makes, and then we have to process these metals and plastics and ceramics, form them into the widget. We have to figure out how to transport them to you, the consumer. How are we going to advertise for that? So all these steps in the supply chain process will be integrated into the curriculum, which is essential for understanding how things are connected. The next two columns after that are how the curriculum aligns to some of the laboratories that will be in the new STEM school, in addition to courses that are taught at the university. So your children could have an opportunity to see how at the next level, or a couple levels up, how some of these questions are being answered at the university level, and also where they're going to happen inside of the school. So the same space that your child might be designing a helmet, right, is the same space that an Aurora University undergraduate or graduate student will be designing something as well, but your student at the school would be able to see the connection that it's not just something I'm doing in school. It's not just at 4th grade that I'm going to be designing this helmet, but there are others, there are careers, right, that come off of this process of learning how to implement some of these basic questions that they're going to be investigating. Finally, at the latter half of the chart that you see up there, it connects really to this framework in the Illinois pathways that Allison also mentioned. So on that note, where can you get a job if you're interested in this area? You really dig designing helmets. What can I do with that, right? So all of this curriculum is designed with that in mind, and how a lot of what they're learning in the classroom can then be transferred to a career or beyond. Right, and so the last question that I have to share with you, right, is to answer where will this actually happen? And I've alluded to that a bit already, right? So the STEM laboratories that are going to be at the facility, half of the school will be the classrooms where the children will be during the day, and the other half of the school will have 6 laboratories that are interdisciplinary by nature, in addition to a larger multi-purpose room so that larger events could happen. The STEM labs have been designed with both interdisciplinary connections in mind, in addition to having them be purposed as multi-generational spaces. So I've already spoken to that a bit, right? But this is the idea that it's not just 3 through 8, it's P through 20, that's going to be able to utilize these spaces and engage not only your students but other students and feed off of that energy in these spaces. So you can see the names of the labs are even interdisciplinary. We're not calling them the biology lab and the chemistry lab and the physics lab, right? These are interdisciplinary spaces where if you did want to design a helmet, you would walk into the manufacturing and modeling design lab, the MMD lab. You would design it up in some software on a computer, and you could possibly even print it on a 3D printer that's in that laboratory, right? And then you could take it to the materials science lab and test it. Right? We can test these using mechanical testers and other devices of such nature. And perhaps the helmet, right, could be used in a bike setting or something like that. So maybe I would take it to the energy lab where there's a lot of equipment that would be more based for testing energy of the actual helmet, the impact that it would actually take. Would it be able to protect something? So it's not just designed, the labs are not designed for just one thing in mind. They're definitely interdisciplinary by nature. And Allison did state that the students will have digital devices. The laboratories will also be equipped with state-of-the-art learning technology like 3D printers and different things that we feel would be necessary for accomplishing all the goals that we're going to accomplish with the big challenges that the students are going to be faced with while they're at the school. So thank you for your attention. I think Steve's up next. So Steve Solomon from...
Good evening. I'm Steve Solomon. I'm the president of the Excellent Foundation, and I have to admit, a parent of 204 students. I have a son who's at U of I in civil engineering. I wish this program was around when he was a student, and a daughter who's going into education at Illinois State. I really want to thank 204 and the other 2 school districts for really taking this and saying, we can make this happen. This is really a new model, as Allison said, for teaching and for teaching STEM. I won't go through all the stats because Allison already went through that. The United States doesn't do very well. And so at the foundation, it's very important for us to fund STEM programs, primarily because we produce energy, right? So we like the engineers, and we like the scientists, and we like the mathematicians, et cetera. So that's really one of the reasons we funded this project was, we have an aging workforce, and we have a workforce, and we don't have enough people coming into the workforce pipeline to really be able to come and work at Exelon and at ComEd. So for those of you who might think Exelon Foundation, not sure what that is, it's funded by Exelon Corporation. Exelon is the parent company to ComEd. So you might see an Exelon company on your ComEd bills. So that's where we fit in. This program is really unique. It's true collaboration. It's true innovation. I am not an educator, but the educators that we work with are patient and listen and figure out what makes the most sense for us to do. And I want to share with you some of the things that ComEd and Exelon can bring to the curriculum and to the school. So for the younger students, those third graders, ComEd can bring Safety Town into the school and teach them about electricity and how to be safe with electricity, and even how that electricity gets from a station to someone's home or a business. As the students go through the curriculum, they will learn about the importance of energy efficiency. ComEd and Exelon are really pushing energy efficiency. If we all use less energy, we don't have to spend the dollars to build more plants. So part of the curriculum may include a home energy audit that we send home with the kids, and they can tell you for a change, turn that light off, because we know we all do that, right? And then for the older students, and this is probably about 7th grade, Exelon has the Exelon Solar City. It's the largest urban solar plant. It's in Chicago in the Pullman community, if you're familiar with that. And so we envision taking the kids to see a solar plant and understand what renewable energy is and how it works. And then sort of the big finale is probably taking the kids to Byron Station. Byron Station is one of our nuclear stations just south of Rockford, and taking them there and helping them understand how to use nuclear energy to produce electricity, et cetera. I think one of the things that I really love about this project is the enthusiasm of the teachers, and the fact that everybody is looking at this in a very objective way. The Exelon Foundation has provided a $500,000 grant to the school, and we're happy to do that. But the school isn't going to be a promotional or commercial for Exelon and for ComEd. It's really there to teach the kids about energy and the sources of energy. So we're thrilled about it. I see some of our teachers from our class, so I know they're laughing because, I'm always like, how do you fill these templates out? And because I'm not really an educator. But we're thrilled about this project. We fund a lot of projects, and this project is just really, really unique and very special. I think one of the things that we loved about the project was that circulating the teachers into the school for 2 or 4 years and then sending those teachers back out to the other schools. You see a lot of programs that will say, hey, at this school particularly, we'll have a great STEM program. But it doesn't do anything for the rest of the students. And I think that's one of the unique things that this project really has, is that it takes these teachers, brings them in for 2 or 4 years, and then brings them back out into the curriculum, into the other schools. So we're thrilled to be a part of it. We're thrilled that Allison is the leader. Allison is just a lot of energy, very smart, and we're glad to be a part of the program. Thank you.
And now we have Miss Angela Whitfield.
Good evening. I'm Angela Whitfield. I'm from Nicor Gas, a division of AGL Resources. We are the largest natural gas utility distribution company for gas only in the U.S. We serve about 4.5 million customers. I've been with Nicor Gas for about 28 years, and I too have a STEM background. I'm an electrical engineer by trade, and also have a master's degree in business administration from Loyola. Several years ago in the natural gas industry, we recognized that there's been a severe shortage in the STEM-related talent. And even to the point that a few years ago they started a consortium amongst the natural gas utilities across the U.S. Called Workforce Planning and Development to really focus on the needs of the workforce of the future. In the natural gas industry also, as Steve mentioned, we do have an aging workforce. Over the next 5 to 15 years, we'll have a significant amount of turnover, and we're wondering where are we going to get the talent for our next generation workforce. You know, our company also recognizes that education is critical to the success of today's global economy. The STEM fields drive our nation's innovation and competitiveness by generating new ideas, new industries, new companies even. And the way we do our job is changing. Technology is changing, and it's changing very fast. And employers are looking for, you know, new innovative ways to change the way we do our work, and also to help us maintain a competitive edge. Nicor Gas recognizes the importance of encouraging STEM-related education really as early as possible. You know, the more we do to encourage the students to pursue careers in STEM fields, the more we increase our pool of qualified workers. As Steve also mentioned about the pipeline, I talked about the pipeline earlier, the more we can get into the pipeline of qualified people early on, the more we'll be able to hire that talent. Nicor invested in the collaborative partnership as we saw that it was an important blending the education with a field or workplace experience, and that's something that would really help the students to make that connection between the classroom and the workplace. The collaborative partnership can really help shape the future of our employees and increase our talent pool. And I've been working with the project since 2012. And at that time, we were working with the corporate partners, not-for-profits. We were developing the corporate framework. And the framework was helping to form the basis of the 2 curriculum courses in design and engineering. I also learned a lot during working with the curriculum and the curriculum developing, because I too am not an educator. My mom is, so you would hear her talk about it all the time, but you know, I'm in the corporate world, so we're just a little bit different. So when you're at the table, when we're all working together, really helping to understand the language, what each other's needs are, what we look for as a corporation when we want to hire, and what kind of competencies are important for us when we're looking to do that. Also in the first course for the curriculum development, Nicor Gas had an field experience for the educators where to help them acquaint themselves with what Nicor Gas does. We took them to our facility called Troy Grove, which is in Mendota, Illinois, and that's where we have a very large storage facility. We store natural gas in the ground, and we were able to show the educators around and really help them understand and make that connection back to the classroom. Right now I'm on we're working with the second curriculum and working on the geology and space and how we can integrate some of the experiences from Nicor Gas within that and some of the other learning experiences. So I too, you know, since being involved with the collaborative partnership, I found it to be very enriching experience, and it's really helping to shape the next generation workforce. And I'm very excited. I've been excited for the past 2 years in working with this and seeing the building go up. It just really makes it all real. So, thank you.
Well, I appreciate that our partners had an opportunity to speak with you. It's very different for me to just make introductions and give names, but I wanted you to have a face with those that have been putting in the long hours. And we all, I know I speak on behalf of our partners, we can't wait to see the kids walk in. So we are looking forward to that. Other coursework essentials that we believe that parents would want to know. Again, I mentioned that we do fulfill the ISBE requirements, so all the learning outcomes that your child experiences in their home district now Same holds true for the school. Art, music, and physical education, health will be offered and will be taught. In addition, special education services, certainly it's a legal requirement, but more importantly, it's on the best interest of your student that we do what we can to meet their academic needs. So any individualized education plans, 504 plans will be serviced at the school. We would work very closely with the home district to ensure that that runs smoothly. After school STEM clubs and activities will be offered, and we really look forward to that. I've had so many ideas even pass my way now, robotics and this or that. So we will be building those in the upcoming months to ensure we have those extracurriculars available. Band, orchestra, chorus, and athletics are not offered at this time at the STEM school. Features of the building, you did hear much about the labs, which are fascinating with all the state-of-the-art technology available, but I'll hit on a couple of others. We have 8 workshops. We call them workshops in that classrooms. They look different than a typical classroom. We had the luxury to build this building from the ground up. So we could naturally build the learning space that we believed will meet the learning outcomes that we want in our children. So you will not see students sitting in rows. If we want students to be collaborative and to communicate, work together, which are very important 21st century skills, then we have a space that allows for that. We have desks that convert into tables, so students will most likely be sitting groups of 3 or 4. We don't have a tech lab down the hall. We want technology integrated daily. It's a tool that students use to engage with the curriculum. So students will have devices in their hand. We are excited about a rooftop greenhouse. That's new. There'll be an opportunity for children to experience that through lessons in the labs. And the building is LEED Gold certified, so you may not know what that means, but basically we're environmentally friendly. Clean air, ventilation in the school, low volatile compounds used in surfaces, paints, etc., and natural light availability. So that's one of the highest standards for a building that a building can get to be environmentally friendly. So we're very proud of that. The school is in close proximity to the Aurora University athletic fields, where students will naturally be having many lessons in physical education, in addition to the gym that's available on campus, and possibly in some cases the classroom. There are great connections in an integrated curriculum for physical education and these core labs. If students are, studying nutrition, and calculating BMI or working through a lesson that way. So PE can be taught in some cases in a lab situation. The student cafeteria, students will use the cafeteria that is on campus. It's about a 2 to 3 minute walk. Any type of walk on campus is absolutely supervised by a teacher. And you also heard about the connections that the 3-8 students will have with higher education students in the labs, and all of that will naturally be supervised by the teacher at all times. And I'll turn it over to Kathy, who will talk about the enrollment.
In the packet that you received this evening, not the PowerPoint, the other packet, what you will find, the last 2 pages are the directions as well as the application form if you are interested in having your student be part of possibly being selected to be in this school. So we would ask that you consider all the information you have tonight and then make the decision that you know is best for your child or your children. Fill out that application and return that application to your child's school. And when I say to your school, please send it at the elementary level right to your child's classroom teachers. They have been informed about all of this. If your children are at the middle school level, we'd ask that you have your child give that to either their math or their science teacher. Those need to be back to the school by on or before April 14th. So please make sure you adhere to the timeline. That will be very, very important because those received after that date, we will not be able to consider as possible students for the STEM school. So please make sure that you adhere, again, to those timelines. When those applications are received by the teacher, in return, and I know this is a little tougher at middle school than at the elementary level, your child should be bringing home some receipt from the teacher, just so that you know, because sometimes that's a little tricky, that the teacher actually had that. And if you do not get that receipt, if you sent that in your child's backpack, first check the backpack and see if it's still in the backpack, because sometimes that happens. And then also check the backpack that day or the next day for a receipt. If you don't see a receipt and they've clearly turned it in, please call your child's school, because we want to make sure that any parent that has an interest in this has an opportunity to be part of the school. So that would be those things that we would ask for you to do for us. Well, I'll talk a minute about the other piece. The other piece is, once that comes into the school, the teachers will also have a piece. They will be taking a look at some of the other criteria Allison highlighted, taking a look at some of the test scores, some of the grades, some of what that teacher sees in your child during the course of the school day, maybe a high level of interest in math or technology or science. And so the teacher will also complete something that will be turned in with the application. We do anticipate that we will most likely have more applicants per grade level than we're going to have spots. As Allison said, it's either 8 or 9 students at each of those grade levels. And so what we're going to do is, to be as fair as we possibly can, is to hold a lottery. And you can see the lottery dates here. Each district will hold its own lottery. So if you are from Indian Prairie, our lottery is the 29th of April at 5 o'clock in the evening. It will be we will do that through a random draw process. And those students that are in either the 8 or 9, depending on the grade level, will have a spot in the school. And then the next part of that process will be to have those rest of those students on a wait list. And that wait list, the child will be placed on a wait list in an order to make sure that that is done equitably and fairly. If your child has been selected for one of those 8 or 9 spots, you will be notified by May 5th that your child is in. If your child's on a wait list, you will also be notified by that same date that they are waitlisted. And so what happens with that, your child that is selected for this year, they are in the school then, if they come in as, say, a 4th grader, they're in this school all the way through 8th grade. We do not have to go through this process every year. So once they're in, they're in. Then if spots open, for example, an Indian Prairie child moves out of the area, and that opens a spot at a certain grade level, we will go to that wait list. So we'll start with the number 1, number 2, number 3, and move through that wait list. And we'll try to do that as fairly as we can. So that's where we are. And please read carefully. I think the directions were done quite well. And as you take a look at completing that application. And again, just make sure that you get that receipt. So we want to make sure every person that thinks they're in the lottery actually lands in that lottery.
Other points of interest. The calendar. We agreed with across the 3 districts to adopt the calendar of District 129. So the start date for students would be August 20th and the end date May 27th, barring any snow days, which this year has proven to be a whole new way of looking at winter. So bus transportation is provided. It will be provided by school districts. Do we have routes in place? No. We have to see where our students are coming from first, and then we will work through that. There also certainly is a very secure process for dropping your child off at the university if you decide to drive them yourself. In building security, this is another area where it's a luxury to build from the ground up. So we have put a lot of time and have a team devoted to this, and I know that that's an important piece for you all as well. There is a high level of building security. Visitors will be buzzed in, and ID will be required, and I know that that is basically what happens now in your schools. We have video cameras, security cameras that are installed, And we also have the benefit of having campus security, which is there full-time, right in the neighborhood and available to us if ever we needed. Classroom doors have internal key locks, so a teacher at any point can lock that door from the inside. So we have looked at a variety of research on all that is out there in terms of school security, which, you know, unfortunately sometimes is ever changing. But we are on that, and you should feel very comfortable that your child is in a very secure situation on a campus. There will be a parent advisory board. We know that our relationships with parents is critical to the success of students. So I would like to engage parents in working with us in the development of their child in this school. We would love to seek their support in extracurriculars, activities, and STEM clubs that we can design, as well as their input into school goals and school-wide plans. And basically, we want to ensure that the transition for parents and students is successful, especially in the inaugural year. So we want to hear their feedback. We'll be working very closely with a parent group to do that. There will be a health aide that's available that is on site for the school at a portion of the day. So if your child has any type of medical needs, of course we will ensure that your child is serviced in the way that they need to. Again, we're also lucky to have the campus health clinic right there on campus. So if any type of emergency situation, it's right there available to us as well. And we believe in making sure that what we're doing is working. So there will be an evaluation plan that will be very transparent to everybody. We are working with an outside evaluator. In fact, discussions are already underway on what data we're going to collect to measure our effectiveness. As you heard throughout this presentation, all eyes are on this with the intention that this can be replicated for more kids across the state, across the country. So we, in addition to looking at achievement scores, and remember, your child is still a part of their home district. They never leave the home district, although they're attending this school. The test scores, in fact, from state exams stay with the home district. However, as a school, since we're a partner with the 3 districts, we share that data. So we'll be able to pull data on our students and look at that. So we will look at achievement data, but in addition, there are other goals beyond just student achievement for this school. We want to talk with teachers, and we want to find out through their professional development that they do with the faculty, are they increasing their capacity in the STEM areas and learning more? And is that impacting their instruction? That would be one area as well. So, and most importantly, are students gaining an interest and becoming more enthused about STEM? We want to look at longitudinal data to see if kids, as a result of this schooling, are more apt and are steered towards STEM courses of study when they leave grade 12. So those are all of our goals in this school. And we will share those results with the school governing board, and those are the superintendents of each district, as well as the president of the university, who will then share with their other important board of trustees and boards of education. We'll share this with our business partners. So that actually concludes our presentation this evening. And again, thank you so much for being here, for your interest. And I see that we have a few minutes, so we certainly will do a Q&A if you would like to stay for that. A couple things. First of all, I'd like to mention, if you did not pick up a flyer for Amazing Summer Science, it is a STEM program available to students within all 3 districts. If there are not enough flyers, you can call, or you can contact the STEM school, which is on that business card. My contact information, my direct line, phone number, as well as email address is available there. So I'm happy to send you a form as well. But what we'll do then is we'll take 5 minutes, and if you would like to leave, we'll allow you to exit. And if you want to stay and have your question answered, then we'd ask that you bring your question up to us, and then we'll have a panel in 5 minutes to take those questions and answer them aloud to everybody. So thank you again for being here, and thank you to our partners and our host, Indian Prairie. Well, you can see that there are a lot of questions, and we anticipated that. In fact, we had about 600 parents come to the meeting last night, so we had a lot of questions there too. So we're going to do our best to, in the next few minutes, for about 10 minutes, answer some of these questions. But our plan is to take these questions, that's why we asked for the information, and to develop a frequently asked question a form that we can place on the website as well. And again, you have my contact information, so please do call or get in contact with me. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who's going to be facilitating that to myself and any of the partners.
Our first question, if a student is not selected this year, will they get the opportunity in subsequent years even if they are not on the wait list?
Yes, if a student does not enroll at this time and they want to at a different year, then you would complete an application and then you would be added to that already existing wait list with the district.
Every student in the lottery will be put up.
Yes, and that is true too. Every student that's in the lottery, all numbers will be called, so that would develop our wait list. And I don't know if this was mentioned, but you do not need to attend the lottery for your child to be selected. It could be, as Kathy had mentioned, that we will be sending out information to you, a letter either way, if your child is selected or is waitlisted. So you don't need to attend. If your child's ID number, we will be using ID numbers. If their ID number is pulled, even if you're not there, it's added to the list.
And do you plan to increase the school capacity in the future?
That's been asked quite a few times. At this time, the student enrollment is at 150. If there were to be a change and an increase, then that would be a governing board decision. But going into next year, it's 150, and the capacity of the school is approximately 200. But again, that would be governing board.
This is a related question. Where are the kids going after grade 8? Will you be expanding up to grade 12 in the future?
At this time, there haven't been conversations about expanding it past grade 8. Students, after their 8th grade year at the STEM school, will matriculate or go back to their home district to their high schools.
Band, orchestra, athletics. Is there a plan to include these at a later time?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Band, orchestra, chorus, and athletics. Is there a plan to include those at a later time?
At this time, we are putting our attention on developing the STEM after-school clubs and activities. I know that has been mentioned by parents who really would like to see that availability, but we haven't had conversations to talk about that just yet. Our focus right now is on the STEM clubs.
And how will accelerated math be addressed?
Accelerated math will be available to students. Like any public school, it's our responsibility to meet the academic needs of our students. So we expect that some kids coming into the school will already be coming from an accelerated math program, and we will continue that course sequence, yes.
And how and where will the students eat lunch? When the weather's freezing or raining, will they still walk to the cafeteria?
Well, we don't have long winters, so we would accommodate students, certainly, like any school, any district does, in recess as well for the younger kids. So at this time, they will access through the 2 to 3 minute walk. But if there was a situation where it did not make sense due to highly inclement weather, we would make a decision that would serve the best interests of our students.
And can you talk more about student supervision, since this is on a university campus, specifically athletic fields and the cafeteria?
Yes, the scheduling that we've done so far, well, one, your student will always be supervised by your child's teacher or another adult in addition, such as myself or other staff at the STEM school. The scheduling we've done so far, we don't have students won't be at the cafeteria at the same time, or the alumni dining hall, which is where they'll be eating at the same time as university students. So we've coordinated lunches so that it's the 3-8 students, and then through a period of time, and then university students would access. And same thing with any type of gym situation or athletic fields. There's a large amount of space, and we're coordinating with the faculty to ensure that we have dedicated time and space for kids away from anything else that might be going on.
Is there a tuition fee to be paid by parents?
It's a great question. No, there is not a tuition fee. This is a public school. So the tax money that you're paying into your district is going towards this as well, with the additional funds from the district. So this is not there's no tuition.
And once in the program, is it mandatory to continue through 8th grade?
No, it's not. Certainly, we would value having your child through completing their 8th grade year. But if at any point in time you realize this is not a fit or something else changes and you want to move back to your home district, you certainly are able to do that.
And what are the school hours?
School, that's a good point. I did not hit that one. 8 to 3. It's 8 o'clock till 3 p.m.
And will classroom teachers be involved in recommending my student for the school?
Yes, there is. They will look at the parent survey as well as the additional test scores and grades, and then provide a recommendation for the child. But do understand that there's not the way the criteria has been designed, there's not any single criteria that would make, or I should say break a child in their eligibility. So there is a range, and that's one element of it.
And how will the STEM school work with the district high schools so that students exiting the John C. Dunham STEM Partnership School will continue to be challenged in grades 9 through 12?
Yes, that question has been asked. Each individual district has a variety of elective courses, after school clubs, and coursework, even core coursework, that will help meet the needs of students when they matriculate back. I would actually encourage you to speak to your home district. I know in Indian Prairie they have some STEM elective courses existing now, or engineering. So I would encourage you to speak to your home district, because that varies between all three, and ask what the coursework at high school looks like.
Okay. And how are the teachers chosen for assignment at the school? Do they apply? Are they recommended?
The teachers will come from one of the 3 districts. That was part of our agreement as well, and they do apply. In fact, we had a teacher meeting this afternoon after their school day and talked to them about the application process. So they do apply. We will have tenured teachers. They must be tenured, and we ask that they show their endorsement so that they're teaching in the areas to which they are certified, and they have to have positive standing in any of their evaluations.
And I think this will be our last question that we answer publicly. Again, we will get back to those questions that we couldn't address tonight. The question is, if you live in the district but your child attends a private school, are they eligible to attend? And if so, what would be the process?
At this time for next year, if they are currently in a private school or a similar situation and not enrolled in one of the 3 school districts, they would not be eligible for next year enrollment. A student, if they're not enrolled, must be enrolled to apply for a minimum of a semester. And that allows for us to know the child, the districts, I should say, to know the child, teachers to know the child, look at test scores and grades and so on. So that's the answer to that piece. Well, again, I have your questions. I will be looking to design that frequently asked questions page, so please look for that, or you can certainly email or give me a call. Thank you again.